about your opinion, but SpongeBob is probably something that will exist till the day we die. Even after the voice actors are gone, they'll probably have had them sign a contract saying that Nickelodeon can use their AI voice likenesses till the end of time. Everyone agrees seasons 1 through 3 were the best, some include 4, and that 9 and 10 were returns to some form of quality in the show. What most everyone can also agree on is that seasons 6 through 8 are the objective worst seasons of the show. It's like in writing when you get to the middle of your story and it starts to really drag. Seasons 6 to 8 are the definition of saggy middle syndrome. But what, pray tell, made these seasons go completely off the rails? Well, I've had plenty of time to mull this over, and now it's time to put it on the internet. Now let's start with saying that I am not an early SpongeBob purist. None of my favorite episodes, in fact, are from the original 3 seasons. My favorite episode is actually from season 8, Drive-Thru. For the 0 people who asked, my other favorites are season 4, The Lost Mattress, and season 10, Out of the Picture. Seasons 6 through 8 have good episodes. You could make legitimate cases for episodes from season 6, like Not Normal, Sandcastles in the Sand, Chum Bucket Supreme, and Single Cell Anniversary. And season 7 has Back to the Past, A Day Without Tears, Enchanted Tiki Dreams, and The Wreck of the Mauna Loa. Last but not least, season 8 has Squiditis, Chum Fricassee, and of course, Drive-Thru.
More drive-thrus! More money!
Everything has a bit of good and bad in it. Well, okay, that's not really true, but for something as inconsequential as seasons of SpongeBob, the statement stands. Now, a lot of people will start in blazing glory talking about one-course meal, a pal for Gary, Stuck in the Ringer, and the like, and trust me, we will get there. But we've got a few stops to make first.
Is there something wrong with me? Sorry you had to see that.
Each era of SpongeBob has its own personal feel to its animation, bringing all the vibes together and giving you a precursor of what you're getting into. Seasons 1 through 3, though it gets more polished from season to season, has this hand-drawn, comic strip sort of feel to it. It has the same vibes as going to your grandma's house and getting a plate of cookies. And it has the slight muddiness to it that really sells this taking place underwater. This, in its purest state, is in season 1. It gets slightly more polished each season until we get to season 4. Season 4 has always been a hard style to describe. You can tell they wanted to go bigger with the expressions and the movements, but they didn't quite want to commit to something entirely new yet. I'm actually quite fond of the way the show looks in this era. It almost looks babyfied, or like you're using a fisheye camera filter. Season 5 is a weird gray area. It's not quite an era of its own, it's an in-between phase for the show. You could see it starting to go downhill, but it wasn't like you would expect it to be 6 to 8 levels of bad at this point. This is also true in the animation. The fisheye look is completely gone, but they haven't quite committed to the look that it will have in 6 to 8. It just looks like basic modern SpongeBob. We'll skip ahead to 9 through 11. Animation-wise, this is another in-between era for them. You can see them progressively easing their way into the more whimsical style they were heading towards, and then 12 and beyond is their full committal phase. Everything's colorful, everything's bouncy, and it's not bad by any means. It's kind of cute in its own way. It's SpongeBob. You really can't be too hard on it anymore. Nothing's above criticism, especially not SpongeBob, but at this point, you know what you're getting into, and they have been putting out pretty creative episodes to balance out the dry, corporate, lazier ones. Back to 6 to 8. Now, I'll be frank, I hate the way this show looks in these seasons, and I'm not entirely sure how to describe why. I'll figure it out as I go. The concept I keep coming back to is fake innocence. There's this slimy feel the show has in these seasons, and it's coming out in the animation. It's very stiff, the designs are very sterile, the facial expressions are unsettling, and certain movements have a childish flamboyance to them. For crying out loud, this season has the episode Face Freeze. It's only helping to prove my point. How does it all tie into fake innocence? I'm not really sure. It's just the only way I can describe what I'm feeling right now. Maybe the animation wouldn't have quite had that feel to it, however, if it wasn't for the writing playing a role.
I have never seen a more ridiculous-looking object on top of anybody's head anywhere. I don't know. Suits my needs.
Now let's just get this out of the way first. Seasons 6 to 8 do not have Narlene or Slappy Laszlo in them. That is an automatic +1 start in this category. Oh, don't worry, it'll lose that point as we go on. I just hate Narlene and Slappy Laszlo, the fiery passion in about every episode with them in it I cannot stand. Just like the animation, you can separate the show into eras of writing too. 1 to 4 have the classic feel to the writing with the slower pacing and the clever jokes. 5 once again is an in-between era that I've already talked about. We can even group 9 to 13 pretty much completely together as SpongeBob's more bipolar era. This is more so true for 11 to 13, but it exists to a lesser extent in 9 and 10. There are episodes that absolutely stink, are uninspired, and are just way too much.
I even know how to comb my teeth.
The master bids you welcome, and he thanks you for dropping off his mail.
Ew. But there are also episodes that are actually genius and a lot of fun.
Must be running low on grease.
Oh, well, it wasn't me who sold it as fire extinguisher recharging fluid.
All right, but I'm not the one who sold it as acne treatment to high schoolers.
I'm a well-wisher. I'm a well-wisher. Wishing you well. Wishing you well. Wishing well. Yes! I wish you well.
I like modern SpongeBob. I admit it. Sue me. Anyway, season 6 to 8's writing is bizarre. Let's start with the dialogue and actions. In these seasons, the characters actually end up saying some pretty big words in their dialogue, as if a dumb character using a smart word is an automatic funny. There are also periods where a character will almost be in a freeze frame for a few seconds or so as they work up their reaction to dialogue just said, almost as if they had to pad the runtime of the episodes. They also lean in heavily into the gross-out humor in these seasons. Things like Squidward's misery, Mr. Krabs' cheapness, SpongeBob's idiocracy, and Patrick's meanness are the stars of the show, with episodes like Choir Boys, Boating Buddies, Penny Foolish, Squidward's School for Grown-Ups, and Patrick's Staycation. Let's think about the characters now for a second.
If I were you, I'd get as far away from me as possible. Idiot boys!
Yes, I know that clip was from season 5, but it's what I wanted to use to lead us into this topic. Like I've said, the less than attractive traits of all the characters have been increased in a misguided effort to keep the show funny. But that's not even the biggest thing here. Everyone in this season hates everyone in this season, and they especially hate SpongeBob. Plankton hates Krabs, SpongeBob, Patrick to an extent is terrified of Pearl, and his relationship with Karen is as toxic and unenjoyable to watch as ever. Krabs hates Plankton, and his cheapness even creates situations with his daughter Pearl that probably make her hate him from time to time. Gary is self-absorbed and standoffish with SpongeBob. While Patrick may not hate anybody, well, except maybe Gary sometimes, he sure does act like he doesn't care about the world at large. Sandy has no chemistry in her friendships with SpongeBob and Patrick and surely doesn't think of them very highly. And of course, Mrs. Puff and Squidward hate everyone and everything that breathes. Everyone either hates the rest of the main cast in these seasons or are too self-absorbed to treat each other as if they don't. This is a big reason why I'm drawn to the later seasons as of late. I like to see Plankton and his wife enjoy being married. I like to see Gary smile and cuddle up with SpongeBob. I like to see Sandy, SpongeBob, and Patrick respect and have fun with each other as a trio of pals. And, shocker, I like to see moments where Squidward and SpongeBob aren't actively tripping each other up and are actually getting along. No, not every later episode is a gem. Some are quite bad. But the cast of characters feel like a family, not like a bunch of co-workers being forced to work the overnight shift at a department store. SpongeBob is everyone's least favorite person in these seasons, and let's be honest here, he really deserves it. Something about him creeps me out, I'm sorry, and his idiocy makes him extremely inconsiderate to everyone around him to the point where he's an actual health hazard to all of his friends. So many of the most hated episodes are born from hatred and inconsiderate idiocy. SpongeBob is a creepy stalker to Squidward in boating school, pesters him until he's rewarded with the seat in the choir that he had been working towards, and traps him horror movie style in his home just to force a visit out of him. Patrick lets his sister destroy his friends' houses, acts like a man-child over a toy, is a menace to Gary without getting any comeuppance, and let's not forget the series of unfortunate events that was Stuck in the Ringer. The Splinter and Face Freeze are just 11-minute gross-out compilations. Mrs. Puff tries to straight-up kill SpongeBob in a demolition derby, and most infamously, Mr. Krabs almost kills Plankton with psychological torture and laughs about it. This isn't a problem about having edgier plots. Season 10's Out of the Picture, one of my favorite episodes, is an episode where Mr. Krabs is trying to get rid of, and then when that doesn't work, tries to kill Squidward so his art will sell at a higher price. What about Walking Small? That Season 1 episode where Plankton manipulates SpongeBob into being a jerk to everyone so he can clear the beach for the Chump Bucket Supreme. There are lots of episodes where the characters are being horrible to each other, but we don't hate these episodes because they never feel unsettling, and there are triumphs that feel good. Season 6 to 8 episodes may not always end without the victim triumphing, but they're given such hollow victories. Squidward's house may have burned down due to SpongeBob being a stalkerish creep, but at least he gets to sleep in the freaky exact replica of his home. SpongeBob may have finally figured out that tears melt the forever glue and get him out of the ringer, but oh no, the machine just came crashing back down onto him and Patrick this time, and they are in a worse situation than before. Gary may have successfully driven away the monstrous pet companion that SpongeBob brought home, but he's being scolded for it because his owner is too moronic to see the abuse this new pet was giving him. So I suppose that's all I want to say on the subject. SpongeBob is one of those cultural shows that has shaped a generation and will never be forgotten, and that includes the middle of the show just as much as it does the first and current years. But no matter what era is the primary SpongeBob era of your childhood, the little yellow sponge still managed to hold on to the crown of Nickelodeon Studios. And now only the Loud House stands even an ounce of a chance against it, from now till the end of time. I mean,